All right, we're here with the review squad, Claire, Hongyao, Luna, and we have a guest, Karen. Oh, his audio's not connecting yet. Karen, FYI, we're recording, and if you can, put on your camera when you're ready. So we'll go over the Odyssey. You need to go over the episodes that are presented in my perspectives. And then you need to specifically look at Odysseus's encounter with the Cyclops. And then at the end of the episode with the Cyclops, you need to consider what leads to future events. What incident leads to specific events? Odysseus in Hades. Consider Odysseus in Hades. You need to look at specific types of poetics. There's the Homeric simile. You have to understand comparison. What are two things being compared, especially when you're given the text, and be very careful. Don't be inundated. Go line by line, try to figure out what the subject is and then the value that is being used for comparison. What is the difference between a regular simile and a Homeric simile? That's perfectly fine, Claire. What is a hero? Not in modern terms, but in the terms of, in the context of this text. Define an epithet. Epithet. Think about how the gods and goddesses are influential and who is able to convince who, especially Zeus. And then remember dramatic irony. Consider dramatic irony. Well, you should know the other ironies. What other is there? There's verbal irony and anyone else?
Situational irony.
Situational irony. Then you also will be assessed on MLA formatting. So I want you to, if you don't know in your own research what MLA stands for, go look at what MLA stands for itself. Review. Of course, you can always go to Purdue OWL. Look at how works cited is supposed to be punctuated on the page. So if you cite a text, what order is the information presented and what punctuation separates it definitely from another section? And when you're researching, right, on a database or whatever, when you're researching a database or any kind of source, even on the web, whatever you plan on sourcing, you need to consider what is the most important. What is the most important characteristic of the source? How do you find scholarly sources? Do you use platforms, mediums such as Reddit, Wikipedia? Consider that. Or do you use databases, search engines, but they've been vetted out? Or specific primary sources available by the expert? Also, you need to consider what is the most important aspect of peer review. And Karen, do you have your camera on, or can you get your camera on for us? And then we will go over Romeo and Juliet. And for Romeo and Juliet, you will be going over all 5 acts. Oh, Claire,
Are all the English finals the same?
No. And so because the other teachers, we were able to finish. And I'm thinking maybe the other English classes couldn't finish, so I don't know what they'll be testing on. So we're only testing on what we have covered in this class, and we finished all 5 acts. That's another reason why I want to go over things really specific with you, because there's other things we didn't go over in text when we broke it down, as we discussed more thematic issues, right, than technical issues. So let's go over the technical issues now. Foil. What is a foil? Who is a foil? What is a pun? P-U-N. What is a pun? In regards to figurative language, we have irony. We went over that briefly before. Hyperbole. Does anyone know what hyperbole is?
Exaggeration.
Yes, Mr. Reese uses hyperbole way too much. Metaphor, personification, and oxymoron. Oxymoron. You guys know what oxymoron is? Okay. Oh, what is an illusion? Oh, sorry, Claire, you have your hand up.
Are we still like the literary elements and that stuff? Is it still in the final?
Yes, because it's embedded. It's going to be embedded.
But it's more specific to these 2 texts.
Yes, exactly. Because we did that with Lord of Flies too. So that's a great transition. Illusion. What is an illusion? A-L-L-U-S-I-O-N. What is an illusion?
A reference to another text.
100% outside of that world. Yeah. Or outside the immediate world. So you are going to have illusions in there. Do you guys know, because we didn't study the theater aspects of it, do you guys know what an aside is? We can deduce what an aside is. So in a play, for watching a play, a character has an aside. Hongyao, can you look that up for us? An aside. Aside in theater. A-S-I-D-E.
Wait, so an oxymoron is like when the 2 words are contradictory, but what's the point of
An oxymoron?
Yeah.
What examples of oxymoron do you have that you can pull up?
Deafening silence.
I would say oxymorons are, okay, this is me being poetic. They're actually beautiful metaphors or similes, because you're doing the comparison. Because the other thing is, like, our communication and miscommunication or over communication is to bring across meaning. All right, now you're getting me into philosophy and AP Lit Lamb. So deafening silence. This amplifies the meaning of silence. Why, Claire, when we say deafening silence? We felt it before.
Well, because when it's deafening, it's really loud.
It's noticeable, yeah, 100%. That's, you just used the oxymoron.
Me?
Yeah, because saying silence is loud.
Oh.
Versus, yeah, saying overwhelming. See how you use another usement. Yeah. So next section, I want you to review the prologue in Act 1. Look at the prologue in Act 1. Then you go straight into Act 2. Well, Act 1 is all exposition, right? What governs this world? You're going to get that from the prologue. In the prologue, we already get the ending. And then right after prologue, what scene are we introduced to right away? That shows us that this world, this setting is a place of conflict.
Oh, like the Samson and Greg.
Do you bite your thumb at me, sir? But Act 2, what's Act 2? Act 2 was like the cringy part of our class where we're like, why is this happening? You know, this is too fast. And it's basically Juliet's in the balcony and Romeo is like, oh, Juliet, I swear. And she's like, don't swear, right? So we have the balcony scene. We basically get an argument / banter / proposal. Too fast, too fast. Okay, Act 3. Actually, I think even in this play with tragedy, there's a lot of points of no return. And so as soon as the proposal is done, right? As soon as the marriage is done, what incident happens immediately?
The death of Tybalt.
Good job, Claire. And then after that section, what compounds the tragedy? And then there's things out of control. We blame it on fate, which is who comes to the Capulet household to speed things up?
Paris.
Yeah.
But I had a question about Paris.
Yeah.
So why does he want to marry Juliet so much? I think you answered
that. You know, that's a great question. Because in the beginning, we see the dad's like, hey, calm down, yeah? Give her a couple years. Your guess is as good as mine. And I don't consider it as a plot hole. I consider it as the business and messiness of being human. Like, how often do we change our minds? Or we assume we explain it to someone, or we misunderstood. So even though Juliet's dad is like saying, hey, wait a couple years. He's just, okay, yeah, I'll wait a couple years. But in his head, no, I'm just going to push it.
But like, how does Capulet feel about Paris? Because in the beginning, Capulet was really protective of Juliet. But then at the end, when Juliet didn't want to marry Paris, he was like, criticizing her.
Yeah. I don't know, Claire. One is you can make an argument, why aren't you an AP Lit already? Because that's a great question. Because one can make the argument that we don't have an unreliable narrator. We just get whatever they're presenting to us. Fair? Well, actually, why do you think? I'm gonna turn it back to you. Why do you think? No, I have my reasoning. I just say people are gonna be people. David, when you're ready, can you please turn on your camera? What do you think, Claire or Hongyao, Luna, Kieran? Why would the dad just turn on her? I know why the nurse would turn on her, Juliet, right? Because we get more of the nurse, and we know that the nurse loves her too much that she's blinded.
Does he want to be like protective until she's like older and then so she can make her own choice? But then like he also wants the money from being related to the prince.
You know what? I think that's a fair assessment too. Because I think that's a brilliant observation, Kieran. I think that would do it. Because we see that in people's lives too, right? They say, oh, hey, can you hold out? Can you wait for this? Yeah, mom, dad, I'll wait for it. Or you tell your friends, yeah, I'll be patient. And then something glitches or whatever, you completely forget the promise that you made, and you just jump. And you just can't help yourself. Claire?
I feel like the dad was telling Capulet was telling Juliet that she's like really lucky to marry Paris. But like I feel like he has a title, but he's kind of impatient and not very nice to Juliet when they're at the friar. What he's not a nice person.
Mm. Or, at the same time, thank you, Karen and Claire. Actually, sometimes this is why we've been learning in AP Lit is being genuine. And my encouragement to you guys is to think critically and constantly be considerate and remain pure and to be genuine so you can meet other genuine people. But then when you come across you probably met people with leverages and agendas, and guess what they do? They show you something else, yeah? And the mask comes off. Because they're nice, that doesn't mean they're kind. Right? And I think some kind people actually come off as mean, but that's just because they don't know how to communicate well and they just draw boundaries. But pleasantries. Oh, we forget this is nobility. Nobility is like a chess match. They're like, oh, I'll tell them this way, this way. Oh, remember, this won't be on the final. Remember rules of the game. How was Waverly's mom to everyone else? Right? When they received the present in the beginning. Oh, yeah, thank you so much. Right? This is one of the difficult things about adulting, and maybe, again, you've probably seen it socializing too, just giving false pleasantries. Small talk. I don't know that world. I see it. I see it a lot in the people that I encounter, and I just can't be in those circles. I think we talked about it before. I can't do small talk. When I came to America, people are like, "Oh, hi, how are you?" And I would just spill my guts. Oh, let me tell you how I'm doing, versus it actually being a greeting. And I'm like, "Oh, okay. I should just say hi, how are you, and return and walk away." But I think, with the mind of Hongya, I'd be like, "Hold on, you asked me a sincere question. We should have. You can't leave me without closure." All right, Hongya.
Okay. Sorry, Paris and
Yeah.
Paris and Juliet's point. I think it's possible that Capulet was a little rushing to Juliet because I think he made a promise about Paris that he'll marry them early, and he did not want to break the promise with nobility.
Yeah. I mean, again, it could just be like, oh, just wait this long. But actually, in his mind, he already had it set for them to marry early on. All right, Act 3, as Claire noted, there's a situation that happens right after the proposal and marriage, and things go downhill. Someone else comes in and compounds it. It's like doubling down. We have no control with fate how other people come in. Claire, your hands up.
Yeah, where's the climax supposed? Is it supposed to be an Act 3?
That's crazy. Where is the point of no return? What do you think?
Well, I guess
What do you think without looking it up? And then, David, can you look up the climax of Romeo and Juliet?
Well, I think it's when they get married.
Okay. Actually, everyone put it in chat. Let's do a game. Everyone guess. David, since you're looking up, you can't type in the chat. Luna, are you with us?
Direct
Yes.
message to everyone.
Yeah. Luna, can you, without looking it up, can you deduce what is the climax of Romeo and Juliet? So climax is the point of no return. There's a lot of events that happen, but after what event can they never go back? So for Waverly and Rules of the Game, it was, and climax, depending on your interpretation, can be debatable, is when she ran away. Right? Around that point when she ran away from her mom, very much near the end. or when she yelled, right? Most dangerous game, it is arguable. For most dangerous game, for me, I don't think it's when he jumps off the cliff, but people state that too. For me, it was when he's in a closet and he's determined to kill with his own hands. Because before that, what is Rainsford's philosophy about hunting?
That it's a sport.
Yeah. And then with Romeo, think about it, he's conflict avoidant. He doesn't want to fight. And he even loses his best friend. But then he goes against his own code. The fight at the graveyard, Tybalt's death, the death of Romeo. I think that's the point of no return. Romeo drinks the poison, exile Romeo. I think it's when he kills Tybalt. David, what does the interweb say?
It's when Tybalt dies and
Okay.
Romeo gets exiled.
Yeah. Oh, the exile. The exile too. Yeah. All these things are arguable. Again, if we'll go about the essay prompt in a bit, but feel secure that unless there's like a complete big misreading, you are entitled to whatever you can argue for. Yeah? Okay, Act 4. Think about Act 4. I want you to review the scene with Juliet and the friar. What are her concerns? I mean, the brilliance of Shakespeare is characters going back and forth. Even though they have resolve, there's still doubts, which is us. There's things we know we have to do, but there's things we don't want to do in fear of this. This is what makes us human. So I want you to consider that. Act 5, consider the end. I know there's a lot going on in Act 5, but look at when Romeo is still alive. Who is he with, right? And what are they thinking about Juliet's situation? Because they don't know, because they didn't get the messenger. Like they didn't get the message from the messenger from Friar. They don't know the Friar is setting so much up. So if you have the perspective of Romeo and his cousin, and you hear the news about Juliet, and you see everything in front of you, what are you supposed to believe? Again, we know as the audience everything that's going to happen. And this is why, like, great literature, if we can get more engaged, we know it, but the characters themselves in the situation, they're ignorant. The next section, you will have some quote identification. And with quote identification, the hack that Mr. Reese has is each character has conflict. Those conflicts are driven by what? What is conflict driven by?
Desire.
Desire.
Oh, did you get that from the Bible? We read a verse the other day.
No, that's how I always study literature. Wow. Affirmation from the Bible. Thank you, Claire. Don't shake your head. Actually, you can't leave me hanging. It's like, hi, how are you? And then you stop. What was it?
I forgot. Terry and I were reading. You should ask her. It was
Okay.
at the very beginning of a chapter.
That doesn't help. There are a lot of chapters in the Bible, Claire.
I think if I find it, I'll tell you on finals.
Okay, thank you. Is this how it feels when I don't answer your guys' questions? Just leave it.
But like sometimes you don't try to answer them, right?
All right, I'm done getting roasted. Of course, identifying characters. to lines. Okay. Literary elements / definitions. Let me tell you which words. Okay, the words are rhyme scheme. Rhyme scheme. Hongyan, does your poem have a rhyme scheme? The one on the white wall? It's gorgeous. Like it's like I'm telling you, you had seniors after class just like they found an artifact. Rhyme scheme.
Definitely should have erased that.
I'm posting it on Instagram. Anyway,
Wow.
don't worry, I'm just gonna leave it anonymous. Rhyme schemes. So remember the way rhymes are ordered, the first word that starts the rhyme will be labeled A. If it matches in the following line, it's gonna be A. If it changes a word on the end rhyme, it's gonna be B. And then if it's another rhyme with that, it's gonna be a B. So A, B, B, right? But be careful. Sonnets could be A, B, A, B, or A, B, B, A. Yeah.
Wait, I thought sonnets were always alternate.
There are different sonnets. And
Well,
sonnets are
Shakespeare.
sonnets. So, and then why aren't you in AP Lit? So in AP Lit, we study different sonnets. If you want to just make it generic, a sonnet is 14 lines. If it looks like a square, it's probably a sonnet. If it's 14 lines. And the word sonnet, if we go to the actual definition of word, it just means song. It's just a song. Doesn't necessarily have to be a love song. No, but there's longing there. Right? All right. Metaphor. Metaphor. Metaphor is comparison. Let's not be confused. Metaphor and simile falls under the umbrella of metaphor, but don't worry about that. Metaphor is a comparison without like or as. For now, it is without like or as. Yes, Claire.
Wait, I remember asking about this. Which one's simile and metaphor? Which one's the broader one?
The broader one is metaphor. If you want to get into like the deep academic definition, the word metaphor comes in its original words of like a ferry that brings across. So just like when you said silence is loud, right? When you say silence is loud, we can explain why silence is overwhelming, and that's just the explanation. But since you use a more poetic expression, it communicated way more quickly, doesn't it? So literally, a metaphor is a ferry that brings across. It's all about communication in terms of values. Theme, after metaphor, is going to be theme. What is the theme? If someone can, David, can you look up the definition of the word theme in literature? Mr. Reese's hack would be for theme that if this was the writer's last message to the world, what would it be? What is the writer trying to communicate or teach? David, did you pull it up? All right, what is theme?
It's like an idea that like recurs in or like pervades a work of art or literature.
There you go. And thank you so much, David. So be it a movie or a piece of literature, they'll have multiple themes. And that's why for me, when you're writing your essay, it's about thematic engagement. What has pulled you here? What are you getting out of this? And I'm just going to honor it. Right? Even if the prompt is asking for, telling you, look for this theme, if you come from a different angle and you see something else and you want to argue for it, I will honor it. Yes, Claire.
Like a different theme?
Mm-hmm. If that's what persuades, because for Mr. Reese, yes, I'm referring to myself in third person. I don't know why. For Mr. Reese, what's most important is I don't want you to be afraid of writing. If you have something to say, you should be able to say it. And I use the word should deliberately. And then later on, if another teacher asks you to write a certain thing, at least you know you can write. I just want you to be able to take from something from beginning to end and completion and have that confidence. Sonnets. Oh, the next word is sonnet. What is a Shakespearean sonnet? What is a Shakespearean sonnet? And don't just say Mr. E says 14 lines and looks like a square. Claire.
Wait, so you said different sonnets have different rhyme schemes, but are all Shakespearean sonnets the same?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think some Shakespearean sonnets break the rules. And you'll notice that in the play, there are sonnets embedded. The prologue obviously is a visible sonnet, yeah? But you'll see some actually embedded in the play. And that's where like you're being like lulled. You're like, oh, why is this speech so calming, even though it's so tragic? Because it's just poetic technique. Claire, can you look up Shakespearean sonnet rhyme scheme?
It's A B A B and then C D C D E F E F and then G G.
GG. And then one of the ways, if you can keep, all of a sudden, if you're like, did I just read a sonnet? Especially if it ends on a couplet, right? If it ends on a couplet, and then you revisit the previous lines, like, oh, this was a sonnet the whole time. Yeah, sorry we didn't go over this. It was just like, I want us to finish the play. Oh, Claire, you had your hand up.
So are the sonnets for, like, when does he choose to use the sonnets and like why?
Definitely make me cry. That's a great question. Because I mean, I haven't thought about that in a while. When I use my JSTOR research database. From when I last remember, scholars say that Shakespeare used it for emphasis and closure. Kieran, can you do, let's see what AI says. Why does Shakespeare use sonnets in his play? I'm curious because I read that in a JSTOR article, and that's how I taught it. So whenever we were reading, I mean, because when I taught before, we went at a different pace, and I could be like, "Oh, stop! There's a sonnet. Why do you think there's a sonnet in here? Why does Shakespeare use sonnets in his plays?" Let's see what AI says. Let's see if I've been misleading the previous generations. Wonder if there's a response out there. Let's see if anyone else or AI has previously dug up this information. Kieran, my fact checker.
It's not loading fast enough. My Wi-Fi is really bad.
Okay, all good. And Claire, you had your hand up? You had another question?
Yeah, the Perspectives book asks why the friar speaks in rhyme.
I believe when we speak in rhyme, it's more memorable, it's easy to contain, and again, for emphasis. Think about, it's no different from a proverb. But remember, the English language, oh my gosh, I'm going in theory. The English language is probably the most flexible language in the world. That's why a lot of our contracts, I think still most of our international contracts, or if not all of our international contracts, have to be done in English. Why? I mean, because I think there are more people that speak Mandarin, right? And you can use Han Chinese characters. But the thing with English is because it's an amalgamation of all these different languages, right? Latin, Greek, yada 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 yada. Germanic, which is German, is very specific. It's the most flexible, and so you have room for interpretation, but you have room to be specific. I think the difficult part is we have all adopted English one way or the other. Right? Because there's also Arabic, right? Let's not get, there's Arabic, Greek, yeah. But at least when you look at the core of English in England and how they told stories orally, One is for memory, and the other one again is for emphasis. And we still do that to this day. Think about their sayings in Chinese and Korean that I know of that rhyme. We don't intend them. Actually, we do intend them to rhyme for us to always be able to recall. So I think in the equivalent of English is speak soft but carry a big stick. But I think there's completely different. In Korean, we say "wei yu negang," which is a four Han Chinese character proverb. Which is I'm misordering it. It might be like soft on the outside, tough on the inside, or it might be tough on the inside, soft on the outside. It's probably I don't know. Wei yu negang, but I don't know, David. Don't ask your parents. They're like, why are you learning Korean proverbs? Misha, if you could do us a favor and have your camera on. Whenever you're ready. So I just know you're there. Oh, Kieran, did we get a response from AI?
Yeah, it was pretty much what you said.
Oh, dude, that and thank you so much for the validation for that and for Frankenstein. Remember Mont Blanc? No one believed me, Karen. No one believed me. So what was the AI response, Karen?
It said it was for exploring the themes with emphasis and like showing that they were actually important to the story.
Thank you, Karen. What a way that I could leave. Claire's like, I can't believe Mr. Reese was right. He's trying to bring me down every single day. Let's see. Iambic pentameter. Iambic pentameter. So pentameter, so just you count the syllables. For me, I just look at 10 syllables first. Yeah? Is a 10 count. And then stress, unstressed, stress, unstressed. Now, Mr. Reese has a difficult time with finding that, and I do it in a super mechanical way. But I try to see if I can find the same cadence. I memorize only one line of Shakespeare, which is, shall I compare thee to a summer's day? And see how it's not flat. And I think Hong Yao will know when I try to speak Mandarin, it's just all, because I can't hear tone and I can't match pitch either. So for me, it's the same goes for English. So when I write poetry, and I try to put things into syllabics or a pentameter, 10 syllables, but then is it flat? Is it just like or does it go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down? Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Now, also, right, they didn't have screen time, so they had a lot of time to make sure that these words did these things. That was their fun and their work. So that's iambic, stress, unstressed, stress, stress, unstressed. Claire, you had your hand up. Nope, okay. Oxymoron, we went over oxymoron. Irony, I think just basic irony, even though there's 3 types of irony. Claire says situational, we have dramatic, and we have verbal. But what is irony essentially? What is the essence of irony?
The opposite of what you
Expect, yes. Misha.
I had just a really quick question for like the
Yes.
test rundown. Do you
Mhm.
know how many like MCQs, like short response and essay FRQs there's gonna be?
There's going to be one essay in the end, and then for multiple choice, we're going to have about 40 to 60.
Is there gonna be any short response?
Just one essay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. All right. Then alliteration. Alliteration. Mr. Reese's full name is alliteration. Robert Ricardo Reese. Rah, 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 rah. Wow. Wow, Hong Yao. Wow. Claire.
Wait, but is consonants and assonants going to be covered? Or no?
No. I'm just looking for alliteration.
Oh,
But no, that's a great question. So consonants is what?
the consonants,
And assonance is?
the vowels.
Right. We have a pun. What is a pun? especially after we say no pun intended.
When a word has the double meaning, wordplay.
Yeah, wordplay. Let's see. What is a good pun? I see. The funny thing is, when we think of puns, we can't think of any when we're looking for them. But when we talk about Claire.
So in Act 3, when Lady Capulet is talking to Juliet about their marriage and like Romeo, and then Juliet is the perspective book asks why she uses double meanings and puns instead of just lying.
Oh. That's a great question. Why would you use a pun?
To lie or like
so it's that's the perspective, because we have a difficult time saying that we lie, right? So what do we? Okay, I don't want to be like, Mr. Reese is lying to us all the time. I'm not lying to you guys. I'm not. Kieran, don't give me, don't position your head that way. Dan's like, ooh, Mr. Reese is giving us the secret sauce. How to lie and not feel guilty. I basically just answered the question in regards to some people aren't ready for truth. And if we at least tell them a partial truth, we also believe it's their fault for not picking up on it.
So you lie and you pretend you're telling the truth.
Oh, you're not telling the whole truth.
Well, you're telling.
I know, Claire. I know. Human beings. This is why we study literature. Again, why I say back in the day in China and Korea, why did they make royal politicians study literature? Because they're trying to figure out if they're trying to read people through their words and through their actions, the nuances, the sarcasm. Yeah. Because whatever you put that out there, actually, whatever you put out there is a verbal contract. And then you hold people to that consistency. So everything's an integrity test. So the fact that you're like, oh, Mr. Reese, you guys know Zoe. Shout out to Zoe. So Zoe will tell you I gave her the same hard time. And me being goofy or telling some jokes or roasting. And then I get super deep about literature. I think, Claire, when I was talking about like AP Lit, you're like, is this the same Mr. Reese? That's the look on your face. Mr. Reese is geeking out and nerding out on literature. No, that's the same person. No way. And then Kieran just vindicated me like 5 minutes ago, right? But we're always looking for that. I mean, such is life. So for us to feel like we have a clear conscience, and I'm not saying I don't think it's good to keep secrets, or withhold information at the same time or lie. But some people aren't ready for the truth yet, also. And almost at the same time, they want to plant the seed that was there the whole time. What's a good? Because we didn't read any mystery books. We've read in Rebecca and AP Lit. It's a mystery, it's a thriller, and the answers were there in front of us the whole time. So then you can put it on them like, oh, you didn't notice, that was on you. But I was telling you, I told you the whole time. But with our own bias, our own ignorance, we just don't know. It takes time for us to figure out if this is true or not. And yeah, there is misleading things. I think Elias said it best, and that was my fault. I mean, but that's also the way I grew up. I think I shared. Sorry if I triggered you guys, because I have different facets to myself because I moved around a lot. So if I'm really comfortable with someone and you might see, oh, Mr. Reese is speaking in Southern dialect. How did that happen? How did that voice switch happen? Well, I lived in Missouri for a bit, right? I'm talking to someone about rap music, and then all of a sudden he's speaking in African American vernacular, and then all of a sudden he's nerding out and he's talking about how King Lear is the greatest play that could never be produced on stage, right? And it's confusing and it's jarring. So what is the truth? But I told you guys in the beginning, I'm a published author. Oh, by the way, shameless shout out, even though I'm recording, my poetry translations and an essay just got published last night. I will drop the link. And you want something to read, Claire? There you go. My essay.
Wait,
I have
uh,
an essay that got published. How cool is that?
where is the link?
I'll send it after we finish the study session. Hong Yao is gonna write in the group chat. You guys are missing it. Mr. Reese is not running study hall. He's just shamelessly plugging his poetry. Okay. Symbol. Symbol. Does anyone remember what a symbol is?
It represents something greater.
Okay, so a metaphor is for comparison. A symbol contains meaning. A symbol is a token. Think about the things we carry with us all the time. And we don't intentionally consider a symbol, but it is, because that's where we find comfort, we find our identity imbued. Yours truly, Mr. Reese. Without this, without holding this, wow, Claire. For us, it could be a phone, right? When everyone's looking at their phone or their device, we're attached to it. Or we're on our iPad, we're gaming. This is where we find comfort. Someone that always has their backpack on. I mean, this is us, our glasses. So I think there are certain times, obviously Mr. Reese won't wear his glasses, but other times I wear my glasses. Last night at the baccalaureate, even though I have a skin condition and it's like it got really bad during allergies a couple, like this last month, and it is what it is. Still at baccalaureate, I decided to dress up. Yeah, I had a shirt and tie on. I know. Mr. O, if you guys know Mr. O, he was like, oh, you're in a shirt and tie. I was like, yeah, this is a meaningful event. And you're like, teaching isn't meaningful? I'm like, oh my God. The clothes where I wear comfortable clothes because I have to, because my skin needs to breathe. We imbue so many things with meaning. Oh, a student gifted me a coin, a quarter. It's just a quarter, but it says 1992, and that was the year I came to the U.S. Right? I thought that was super cool. A senior gave that to me. Like a hairpin like Luna has on, our earbuds that we constantly like, it's like we don't want to hear the rest of the world. So symbols are tokens imbued with meaning. I think some freshman said, it might have been Guinevere, I know Mr. Reese is coming because I can hear his keys. Any other, Claire, you had your hand up?
What's the desire of the fire?
Oh, it could either be for Romeo, for him to find happiness, but I mean, so same thing with Mercutio, or it could be stability in Verona.
Wait, but then if it's stability in Verona, he wants the same thing as the prince?
Yes, but in a different way, right? Because the prince is all about the law, and for Friar Lawrence, it's about faith. Okay. And faith shows up in love. Like, it's possible, but even he roasted Romeo. Like, what happened to Rosaline? Rosaline, what happened to her? Whatever. Okay, Julia, okay, I'll bless it. Okay, sure. All right, we went over simile. Simile is comparison with like or as. And last but not least, personification. What is personification?
Does personification happen in Romeo and Juliet?
Yeah, it happens a lot. I know, I'm not saying it happens a lot, but it happens. It's when we give an object what characteristics?
Human.
Be careful of giving animals that you think are human characteristics, but they're actually animal characteristics. All right, can you guys give me a sec? I need to get like a 3-minute break and I'll be right back, okay? Okay, so take note of this. So in the writing section, you're gonna write a title, write a creative title, and 2 paragraphs. And my suggestion is, unless you already know where you're going, you can write the title afterwards. You're gonna have an intro paragraph and a body paragraph. In AP Lit, they allow you to do hooks. You can see me scratching my head. I typically don't like hooks, especially if they don't land well. So the easiest way is just be straightforward. Introduce what are the main parts that you want to do in your introductory sentence for literary analysis? Does anyone remember what important information ought to be in there if you're going to talk to the reader?
The author, the text, the kind of text.
Yep. Yeah. So William Shakespeare's play or tragedy, Romeo and Juliet, or William Shakespeare's play, The Tragedy of Romeo and Juliet. Okay. And since we are not typing it and we can't put it in italics, what do you do with the title?
Underline.
Underline. Then let's put active voice. Shows, demonstrates, right? A verb that actually moves and takes a position. So you're gonna write 2 paragraphs, an intro paragraph, body paragraph, and after you introduce whatever your position is, give a little bit of context of what happens in a play. You don't have to go through every single event, all the conflicts, none of that, but what you feel is like pertinent. And then, of course, what effect? Want you to consider, what is Shakespeare trying to communicate about people who lead with their hearts and not with their head, their logic, who are emotional, more emotional than they are logical. And that's our tendency, right? To speak without thinking, to act without thinking. And we didn't get to watch a version of a play that I previously showed the other years. But the emphasis also in that performance was very beautiful in a sense that, yes, everything was rash. However, in the end, I think we did emphasize this, which was Juliet was still loyal. She still stayed pure for Romeo. Romeo didn't refuse to stay in banishment. He would rather, he made a vow and he fulfilled that vow. He's like, he would rather not be alive, right, than not be with Juliet. So in the play, you really saw the emphasis that they got to be together in the end, and no one else could separate them, and they would not be with anyone else. And that's why when people ask, is this real love? You wouldn't sacrifice so much, because going even back to the primal aspect of it, the law of self-preservation, people don't sacrifice and do the right thing for other people. They will not. When you see it, that's very humane. Actually, that's very Christ-like. Because think about how self-centered we actually are. And once something or someone's of no use to us, actually think about how quickly we back out and we give up, and we actually don't honor whatever happened in the past. That's what we think, oh, I thought our friendship or our relationship or this meant more. Claire.
So like, what's the specific prompt?
I would say consider one of the themes of Shakespeare being people.
I thought the thing was about Romeo and Juliet, the essay.
Yes. Placing their hearts. Hearts can be replaced with emotions, passions, and feelings.
What's the specific thing about? What's the specific prompt?
That's what I can't tell you. I'm not going to tell you. I'm telling you what.
I am very sorry. I'm just making sure I know what to do.
No. So, consider our tendency, right, to put our heart, right, which is identified with what other words? What other words are related to our heart? I just said.
Emotions, passions, and feelings.
Okay. More or above our heads, And then what words are related to our head?
Logic.
Logic, reason, intelligence, mind. Okay, so note that, and then what are the consequences? What happens? And it's not just between Romeo and Juliet. Look at Tybalt. Tybalt follows his heart, and this is not even a romantic situation, is it? Mercutio too. Mercutio too. So what is the consequence? What is the consequence of being drunk, like not sober in here? What is the consequence of that? What happens? What is Shakespeare telling us in an extreme way? Kieran?
There are consequences for like using passions instead of logic.
What are those consequences? How do we, what do they look like?
Stuck in relationships and like loss of what you would have.
Lots of pain and suffering. And it's not just between the two individuals, right? Conflict, we're so self-centered, we think conflicts only affect us. But they affect those around us too. I mean, so imagine in our classroom that we got into a shouting match. It's just between us two, but the whole class is watching. What does that do to the rest of the class? How does the rest of the class feel? How are they responding? Are they like, oh, this is fun? How are they feeling? Luna?
I was stretching.
Okay, Luna. So if, let's say in the class, we got into a shouting match, right? But it was between us. The argument is between
I might need to head to math.
Oh, okay. You can go. Yeah, it's
Sorry.
overlapping. Hong Yang. Let's say we got into a shouting match, which we wouldn't, because whoever I got into a shouting match with, you would just be recording all my words and not the words of the other person. So, but if that were to happen, first, how would that make that? What would that make the atmosphere feel like? And especially if the people in the audience appreciated and had a deep friendship with both of us, what would that do to them?
I said that there'll be a split between whether to follow me or to follow you.
Yes, 100%. It would divide. Even people who are neutral, they don't know how to feel about a situation, and that in itself is a division. And then people would ask, why aren't you taking this side? Why are you even neutral? Well, did you hear what just happened? Did you hear what Hong Yang said? Did you hear what Mr. Reese said? Right? Again, depending on our perspective, our experience. But we all start off as friends and neutral. The messiness of humanity. And then you also want to consider like how could this have been turned out differently? I mean, there's different ways how this could have turned out differently. And I'm not asking you to turn this into fan fiction, but where could this have turned for the better? And we know that Friar Lawrence was always looking for that. Claire, you had your hand up before I posed that question.
Is the writing open book? Because like, how do we quote the text if we don't prepare the quotes ahead of time? If we don't know?
So there is. Let me get one. There are some scenes from the play in here. There are some text from the play.
On the fine.
Yes. Yeah.
And then we just quote from there.
Yeah. Or You can use circumstantial evidence. You know what circumstantial evidence is?
No.
Just tell me the situation that you remember.
So no quotes?
Try to use one quote, yeah.
What? Then how do we get the quote?
No, the quote's in the back of the text. There are certain, but if there's a circumstance that you want to recall and it's not in the text provided, don't worry about the quote. So you can say, for instance, in the situation where, yeah, okay.
So we quote from the text provided, and then we use circumstantial evidence for the summary for them.
Yeah.
But like, I thought the quotes were supposed to be the ones that like the text, when the quote speaks better than your summary.
No, I mean, if you are recalling a situation that you want to use as evidence, but it's not in the quotes that have been provided, the sections of the play that are provided in the final, yeah, then just describe that situation.
So are the sections provided like specifically for the writing section?
Yeah, and what we decided may help.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's we don't get the prompt, but it's about Romeo and Juliet, and it's about. So it's about Romeo and Juliet.
It's about Romeo and Juliet. You'll get the prompt
During
on the final. Yeah. But everything we discussed in class and everything that we just talked about just now covers the whole gamut. But again, like I said yesterday, when you go to the AP exam for literature, are you going to know the prompt ahead of time? No, it's just going to be a random text too. So this, Claire, this is just, again, an exercise. I don't want you to all of a sudden get writer's block and fall faint. Like I have nothing to say, which is not true. If you have a text in front of you, the thing about our entire conversation in basically the last hour, did I have a perfect script for every single question that you had? Did I know any of the questions that you were going to bring up? You have to be okay with that.
Wait, so it's like actual in class writing, and you don't prepare. Okay.
So, any other questions, folks? We have a few more minutes, and then I have to log off.
Okay. Is there vocabulary?
I believe I went over the literary definitions with you.
Oh no, I mean like words from the text.
No, that's about it. It's just it's literary definitions.
So is the writing about a theme? Any theme? Do they give you the theme you're supposed to write about?
The theme will be there. If there's another theme that you want to write on, go for it. But the theme is basically what I told you. What it's going to be about is you need to wrap up that theme.
What do you mean?
So you distill it. So think about it. It's going to be actually Kieran, Hongyao, David. What do you think? So the initial essay, there's a creative title and there's 2 paragraphs, the intro and the body. What I told you to be prepared for, what was it? Kieran, Hongyao, David.
Are you talking about last semester's final?
No, this one, what I just went over for Romeo and Juliet.
Okay.
You said prepare for like defending the theme.
Okay.
That was good.
Yeah. And then what did I say to look out for? This is one of the major themes.
Emotion versus logic.
Bingo. And if there's anything after you reviewed Romeo and Juliet, we're like, hold on, I don't want to write about that. I want to write about something different. And I won't have an opportunity to probably write about this again. I will honor it. Yeah. I mean, just like, Hongya was inspired to write this poem on the wall. It was just in him. Imagine if he never wrote that poem. How would he feel?
The writing on the wall.
Oh, great full circle. Yo, my mentor will be proud. I'm gonna share this clip with her. No, seriously. That was awesome, Hongyao. I can definitely retire. My job as a teacher is done. Done. I'm thinking with my heart too much. Claire, you okay? Okay. I'm really curious what you're going to write, and I'm going to be honored to see what you're able to produce. It was a great year. I don't know what expectations you had coming into 9 honors, but hopefully you enjoyed the time and you enjoyed each other's company. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart, just like I told the graduates last night, the AP Lit students. The biggest compliment I could receive is hearing students at Mr. Reese, I found a friend in this class, or I'm still friends with this person in this class. As you go through the next few years in high school, things happen, extracurriculars, different class schedules. If anything, if you're in a group chat, still say hi to each other, or if you can direct message each other, that's fine. But don't walk by each other and not say hi. And I think you guys know too, like super introverted as I'm walking. I'm zoned out in my backpack. It's my token, it's my symbol. And if you say hi, I'm like, hi, and I'm just like, girl. But I'm honored that you do that. Do that for each other. Yeah. Do that for your parents too, because they're human beings. And that is it. That's time. And Claire, no, are you paying my overtime?
The link to your essay, and also.
Oh, okay, that's worth the delay. Okay.
And also, where
Claire
are you
is
going to
getting.
post the recording?
Hmm?
Where are you going to put the recording for this?
Ooh, let me upload it onto YouTube and then post a link on the lesson plan.
YouTube? What? Okay.
Sorry, I'm going into boomer mode right now. Do this. No. Wondering if will the link be live in the chat? I'm curious.
Apparently so.
Okay. So spread the word, put that in your guys' group chat. I don't think they count how many hits the website gets. I don't think it's like that. Literally publication, they don't. But I think this is a cool testament as to, yeah, Mr. Reese is a goofball, but he loves literature, and this is how he nerds out. Like, this is what I do on my downtime. So you get to see that human part of me. Yeah, I am so honored you guys are my last class. Literally, this is my last class.
You better come. You should come back next year, though.
Hongyao. I saw your poem. I can't come back, dude.
Okay,
Because there's no way you're not gonna write another poem like that again, unless you write an ancient epic, like Mulan.
Challenge accepted.
Reese's Journey.
Wait, so there are 2 recordings because you stopped in the middle.
No, it's gonna be one. I just paused it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right, guys. Make sure I think you have math right now. Yeah?
Oh.
Yeah, you should be going to math.
All right.
Okay.
Quick question. Apparently, you told 3B that there's gonna be a barbecue party, but not for 4B.
Oh, okay. So only. No, David, don't shake your head. Because it occurred to me because it was after investment club. So I invited students from an investment club. But here's the thing: make sure you have chaperones. So I opened it to AP Lit students that are just graduating. So invite your parents, whatever, whoever. I'm not paying. Let this be on record. I'm not paying. David, don't look at me like that. Kieran, don't look down. I'm not paying. I need you guys understand. Claire, Hong Yao. It's going to be June 2nd, 10:30 a.m. June 2nd, 10:30 a.m. At Jen Korean Barbecue off Hostetter. So, oh, David says confirmation that David's paying. David's paying.
Me?
No,
Yeah, you just wrote it in text.
that was me. I'm asking him to confirm.
Yeah,
Anyway.
that's correct.
Okay, because
Okay.
the rest of us are in 4B.
Yeah. So 10:30 a.m. Try to invite your parents. But what I will, we're doing it at 10:30 a.m. because the restaurant opens at 11. And the way I'll talk to, if your parents show up, because I want them to not supervise you, but just be around you guys. I'll try to encourage them to let you guys sit by yourselves with your friends, and then the parents can sit together. Because that way you guys could, but you can't burn the restaurant down. Okay, this is all being recorded. We need to go. I'll post this on YouTube, and I'll put the link on our lesson plan too. It was truly an honor, guys. Yeah. Okay. All right, Lord willing, I'll see you next week. Bye.
Thank you.
Finals week. Bye, Mr. Reese.
Bye, yeah.